completely different in a way, because I'm looking at some of the issues that the casual academics are facing. But then I was wrong, because this did not just start with the online teaching, but the problems were there before. So I might, how much time I have, Frank?
Until about 4 o'clock, perhaps a few minutes past 4.
I have, yeah, I'll make it short, because, okay. I would apologize, because this is not really a very comprehensive report of what's going on and the statistics about the casual tutors. It's not up to date, and I haven't done any study. I just grabbed a few details from various research papers and also some reports from the universities. And as far as possible, I have tried to suppress some names. But eventually I will mention 2 names that I'm really fond of, for good reasons only. Don't worry. One of them is Leon anyway. Okay, this is my abstract. I think most of you have had access to it. So I started with collecting some information about the challenges with online teaching, and also, I mean, I must admit that I have been in various situations, sometimes as casual tutor, sometimes as on contract for the whole year, and sometimes in industry. So I have had several hats, and at a point I was also working at as many as 5 universities. So not every point applies to me, and not every negative thing applies to me. This is one paper that I came across. This was, I think this is not the most recent one, but I would share, actually the links are given here, but I'm quite happy to share these afterwards with anyone who is interested. So we know that we rely a lot on the casual teaching in our higher education places. And I just grabbed a bit of a screenshot of some comments about casual tutors. And like, this is a list of things that casuals have said, that what they have signed up is something, but what they have done is more than what they have been paid. And especially this is some comment about the PhD students who are also there along with the casual tutors, and the tutoring is shared among the PhD students and honors students, as well as the casual tutors. This is one statistic which was collected in April 2020, just almost 4 months after the beginning of the pandemic. And this is especially picked up from the UNSW, which has done some study. I'm not completely sure whether this applies to other universities or not, but the numbers looked a bit of a challenge. Then this is a title that also looks not so good. And of course, unpaid and uncertain is how some of the casual tutors that I work with in various universities talk about. And it's not easy for everyone, especially the younger people and younger ones with families. Then there is this conversation article, which is as recent as February. And it has done a bit of study and also compared with available data as early as from 2001. And it says that the situation did not improve for casual academics after the COVID, and it made it hard. There is a graphical representation of some typical duties that casual tutors take up. And there is one more, which is recent in September. And this has got more data to support the view that the casual staff need more support. And also there are ways in which the unis, in particular the administrative sections, can help. And one of them is JobKeeper, which so I stopped sharing, but I would share a whiteboard for obvious reasons. So as I said, my goal here is not to mention about the numbers and the problems. The problems are actually mentioned in various forums by people, and I'm not here to repeat some of them or all of them, but I have planned something very simple, like an alphabet. So some of them sound like silly, but you would see the seriousness of the issue. Okay, don't worry, I'm not going to write all of the alphabet. I might stop at L, because L is what I'm very fond of, because this also resonates with some of your presentations, where you have mentioned the word that maths is nothing but a language. And just before, about these mental models that Marin has mentioned, we know that students do struggle, some of them, I should say, some of them struggle with the language, and what I thought that the student understood in the way that I understood, they may not have understood the same way. And sometimes it could be better than what I understood, and sometimes it could be worse than what I understood. So I'm a bit, I have a few reservations in mentioning that they're always on the lower side than I am. And sometimes they might have more ability than what I have, but maybe the language that I'm using and the language they are using may not be matching properly. So maybe my communication with the student could be a bit wanting. That's what I want to mention. Now, as I promised, here I start with a PhD in maths, who is a tutor in one subject. And for a reason, the subject coordinator also had a master's in physics as another tutor. Of course, for a first year subject, they both tried hard. And sometimes when we had some issues with the tutorial stuff, then we approached A, and A helped because he's a good colleague, he or she. So there is no gender bias here, sorry. So A and B were both teaching well for the subject. And in the next semester, what happened was A did not get the tutoring position, but B retained. And obviously, some of you immediately guessed a reason, because A has to be paid at PhD rate and B has only master's. So B's rate is a bit lower than A's rate. So this is sort of cost cutting. And that is happening quite rampantly. So the universities, I mean, I'm not here to judge the universities about what is right, what is wrong, or how they should do it. And as I mentioned before, I work in more than one university. So therefore, this does not pertain to my, any one of those places, or could be maybe it's happening in more than one place. So the cost cutting is impacting casual tutors a lot. So the selection of the tutors for a particular tutoring position is not just by the suitability or the subject strength of the tutor, but rather by the cost constraints. And this is hurting some people. So with PhD, A could be expecting that that they're more suitable and they have more capability, but it's not like that. Okay, so I finished A and B. Then C, what is C doing? So C is my computer, which broke suddenly on one of those online teaching sessions. And then I'm at home in the online session and I don't have a spare one. And then the next thing I knew is I tried to do it on the phone, but I don't have all those codes things on the phone, which was probably my fault. So then I had to reschedule. But then this thing came up very heavily on the SFS, the student feedback. I mean, me means not just me. As I said, I have collected some opinions and experiences and impressions from other tutors. So the online switch after the pandemic has affected lots of casual tutors who have to use their own resources, especially the computers and their accessories, and of course, electricity and Wi-Fi, whatnot, everything. So for which there was not any compensation as far as I know. Okay, on a different background, on a different setup, D is for disappear. So who disappeared? It's not the student, but in one university where I was working, we are a set of tutors, and one tutor is not coming anymore. This was not this year, but in some year. And then, I mean, like it looks like the flow is happening and someone else took over, but there was no information. And then we just continued. And then maybe after 4 months, we knew that this person had cancer, and that person just disappeared in the middle of the semester, but nothing took place. Like maybe there was a funeral or something, but most often this is a serious thing that I noticed, that in the case of casual tutors, things are not really noticed in the schools. And again, as I said, my humble request is that this is not just my opinion, but I have collected a few things, and this disappearance or something like that is not really mentioned anywhere, and it is just like thing. And then E stands for eyesight. So when I'm using this computer for my online teaching, yes, of course, I'm only teaching to the wall behind the computer. And of course, as many people said, I'm not really making a contact with the student, and my body language doesn't make any impact on them. And I'm not walking, I'm not showing my histrionics, or I'm not showing my skills to write on the whiteboard or whatever. I mean, the whiteboard that I have on the screen is very limited. And of course, I have my finger writing, but sometimes to write on with the mouse is even more difficult. So these are certain things. And also the neck issues. No one seems to talk about these. Then, of course, you say, oh, how is she finishing off all these alphabetical things? But as I said, F stands for the 5 universities that I worked at sometimes in some semesters. And that gave me a lot of positive opportunities to meet interesting people such as Leanne and Dawn. Actually, I know some more people including Chris. and who have always respected the colleagues, even though they're doing 1 hour in the week or they're doing like a full-time job, whatever it is. I just want to highlight some who have shown that magnanimity in showing the highest form of respect towards casual tutors. And this is something that casual tutors very much appreciate in the managers and also in the subject coordinators. So thank you, Leanne, Dawn, and a few others. Really, I appreciate that spirit in you. Then inclusivity. Of course, suddenly I went to I, which is inclusivity. The Of course, in the online situation, it's even more prominent. But even before the online, casual tutors or casual staff are not very much included in, of course, anyway, they are not included in decision making, but they're not also included in some of the social things or some things where there is information about the school and policies and all those things. So that inclusivity is very important for casual tutors because they will also be able to feel part of it, and then an institution would do better by being inclusive. This is again a collective opinion that I have got from others. Of course, I also stands for icebreakers, and my students, after 3 semesters or 4 semesters of online teaching now, they hate the icebreakers. So I'm at a loss because I have lots of games on Kahoot and Mentimeter and all these, but now suddenly they say, oh, just get on to the serious stuff because I have had enough. In various subjects, there are so many icebreakers. So again, every semester, the same subject, but the new cohort, and they're different. So we are doing, I don't say it's a thankless job, but every time we are posed with a new challenge when we have a new cohort, and we can see it as a good thing or a bad thing. But for me, it is always good because a new cohort always gives me new opportunities. And again, it's a collective opinion. Then J for being jolly. So why should we be jolly? There are so many reasons to be depressed. Okay, so they don't have mental models, and it is tiresome, and the attendance is a problem, and we don't know whether they are there or maybe whether they just logged into Zoom and they are going and cooking fish, or maybe they went for Woolies to get some bread. We don't know. These are all problems there, but I think of late it is also time for having that attitude of, I mean, I won't say I'm not here to teach any philosophy, but there are always good students and bad students. It's not just that I'm here to solve the entire world's problems. But I noticed that sometimes I'm bombarded with the best of the best students, and then I'm challenged in ways beyond my capability. And that's when I need to really, really look around and then grab my books and my old notes and this and that, and then really come up with some new strategy to answer those questions. So it's always a good feeling when you meet such Cambridge material students. And I think that is one of the reasons why we are in teaching profession and teaching maths in particular. And now, what is the good thing that I can mention about this? So K for kind. So I really want to mention about one manager in one school, in one university. It is my personal opinion, but when I have talked to others, they also mentioned that they met such kind people who went beyond their working hours to do those contracts or being proactive in resolving issues and maybe IT issues, or maybe some logistics, or whatever it is. There are kind people around, so for which I'm always grateful. Then I left out two of the symbols, G and H. And of course, H, I can always say for health, because in the end, we are not sure what the student is facing, what type of issues they're facing. And I'm not here to look after, I mean, I'm not here to support the student when they're not doing the right amount of work. But then our expectations, half of the time they're met and half of the time they're not met from the student. And we always expect more, and that's not wrong. And we tell them that these are our expectations. And in today's world, I feel that the communication is playing a big role in yeah, in talking to the students. And I myself have had to reform a lot, because before, do this way, do that way, but now I say, can we do this way, can we do that way? So I noticed the inadequacies of my own language, and then I would not be judgmental. And of course, this is what I say to myself and about myself. I'm not talking of other tutors, but being happy about what is in front of me in the form of those tiles on the Zoom window or the Microsoft Teams or whatever, and then taking it as it comes without any pre-assigned opinions, and then doing our best, and then just reforming my or refining my own communication. This is what I feel is my duty. And yeah, so I left out one letter, that is G, which is for good things to happen in future. Thank you.